interview with a guy that misses weight, and I'm asking you a real question. What do you do? Like, I'm looking for suggestions. I want to get a conversation going back and forth. Daniel Cormier had an idea. And I don't understand the missing weight. I mean, I must tell you, like, I just don't understand it. I came from amateur wrestling, and the biggest tournament, arguably bigger than the Olympic Games in terms of eyeballs, pageantry, is the NCAA tournament. And I use that as my example because I know that you guys would have heard of it. But for the NCAA tournament, you got to weigh in 3 times. Okay, you got to weigh in Thursday, you got to weigh in Friday, you got to weigh in Saturday. You got to make weight 3 times. A professional MMA fighter, broad stroke, makes weight 3 times a year. In the NCAA, when you make weight at 9 a.m., you are on the mat, or at least the first whistle to start the tournament is 1 hour after that. The next day, you've got to make weight. So now imagine that. Imagine you pull that weight. You're uncomfortable. You get to the scale. Whew, made it. Get your gear on. And then you got to compete an entire day, not letting that part go. Not doing your best to hydrate and refuel. No, it's quite the opposite. You're going to hydrate a little, and you're going to fuel a little, because you got to get up and beat the scale again the next day. Work hard all day. You got to get up and beat the scale again 3 days in a row. So when an MMA fighter that has to weigh in 3 times a year misses weight, I will just tell you I don't understand it. I don't challenge the notion that somewhere in NCAA history somebody has missed weight. I just tell you, I'm as big of a fan as I know, and I can't tell you who it was. I don't remember a time. I can tell you when you get to the Olympic Games, the finals are set the previous day. You wrestle through the semifinals. If you're in the championship match, you'll get up, you'll weigh in, and that will be the only match that you have that day for the gold medal. In my lifetime, 48 years young, in my lifetime, only one person has ever missed weight for that match. As a matter of fact, it was in the last Olympic Games. It was opposite our girl, Sarah Hildebrand. It just never happens. They're not paid anything. There's no money. There's no contracts. There's no sponsors. It's pass or fail. In fact, the gal at the Olympic Games that I referenced that missed weight, she's made the finals. She didn't make weight. No. She was not the silver medalist. She is pulled from the tournament. Nothing. She broke the rule of the tournament. Even though she had won all the matches and qualified for the gold medal match, which was on a separate day and had a separate weigh-in, she was not then forced to forfeit that match, and she became the silver medalist. She does not place at all. At the NCAA tournament, if you were to miss weight on the 3rd day, just by example, all the team points that you accumulated on days 1 and 2 are gone. It's a very tough punishment, but it's the way it is. It's very straightforward. In MMA, it's not as straightforward. I mean, right from Jump Street, it's not as straightforward. Let's use the cattle scale. Cattle scale is an expression for doctor scale, I believe is what it's officially called, where they get on and they move it, and they've got the numbers, and then they got the little thing, and it either breaks or it doesn't. Just in the world of wrestling, if they ever use one of these scales, a doctor scale, you put it on the weight that's agreed upon. If it breaks, you're done. MMA, you're not done. They then move it and let you know what a guy weighed. If the agreed upon weight's 135 pounds and this guy's 133 and 3/4 pound, they'll tell you. And I'm just sharing with you, like, that's not the hill that I want to die on, but it is weird. It doesn't matter what he weighs. The weight class is 135. Is he weigh less than 135? I just share with you, like that in and of itself is an odd behavior, in my opinion. All right, so now you get somebody in MMA, they come in. They've agreed to do this. They've signed contracts. They're adults. They're people of honor. They bow to one another, right? Martial, they're of honor. And they break their very first deal. The absolute first deal, and they break it. There was a gentleman named Oliveira over the weekend, not Charles Oliveira. Another Brazilian fighter fought out in Brazil. Agreed upon weight class is 135 pounds, which somehow means 136 pounds. Just accept it. Agreed upon weight class is 135, which means 136. This guy, Oliveira, weighs in at 144, and the opponent weighs in at 136. So my aggravation, me, just sit at home. Why didn't you call the guy and tell him you were going to miss weight? 8 pounds. Think of a Gatorade. Think of those big Gatorade, the big Gatorades. That's 32 ounces. That's 2 pounds. The opponent could have drank 4 of those and still weighed what Oliveira weighed. I mean, I'm just sharing for you, like, what happens in that situation? That's a simple etiquette. There's no way to enforce that. I'm just suggesting for you what happens in this situation. Now, there is an answer. First rule of show business is the show must go on. So, whether we like that or not, if we're coming up with actual suitable solutions, we cannot defer to what the Olympic Games would do or even the NCAA, which is it's pass or fail, you're out. We can't do that even if we would like to. The show must go on. The fight still needs to take place. So how are we going to do that? In some jurisdictions, they take 10%. In some jurisdictions, they will take 20%. And that will just automatically be transferred from that person's purse to their opponents. Immediately following the fight, when everybody is paid out, the person that missed weight will have that deduction shown right on their check right then. The person that made weight will have the added dollar amount put on. Okay. So Daniel suggests that we start the fight, but the first round of the fight cannot be better than 10-10. On a 10-9 must system, the first round of the fight, no matter how it looks, no matter what positions took place, the gentleman who missed weight cannot get better in the first round than a draw. And I'm bringing you that because I've never heard that. I don't hate the idea, and it sounds a little bit complicated. They say in life, if you can't explain something simply, then you don't understand it well enough. Maybe that's where I'm at with this. Maybe I just don't quite get it well enough. But it's not the world's worst solution, by the way. I mean, there's only a couple of things that you can manipulate. If you're not going to cancel the fight, and we're not going to cancel fights. If you're not going to cancel fights, there's only a certain amount of manipulation that can be done. One is with the pay amount. The other would be the scoring of the match, which is on a 10-9 must system. So I do understand Daniel's theme, and I like it. There's something in high school wrestling out here in Oregon, and you must declare your weight ahead of time. If it's a dual meet or a tournament, coaches must submit their team to the weight. They have a rule in Oregon that if you show up for that weight and you don't make it, you cannot return to that weight. I like that rule. So let's just carry that over to MMA. Let's carry it over to Oliveira because he's the most recent example. He agrees to make 135 pounds. He fails to make 135 pounds. He now cannot return. They can't even do a bout agreement. He cannot even be booked at 135 pounds. It would force him at lowest to go to 145. And the thing with MMA or anything, all great ideas, and then you get somebody that comes in and manipulates the system. And I'm sure there would be a manipulation of this as well. But to the idea that taking the 10% or the 20% is a good enough deterrent, it's clearly not. I don't remember the last time we've had a month go by when somebody didn't miss weight. It's very rare that we have a weekend with all the events that go on that somebody doesn't miss weight. Very rare that there's literally one weekend between the PFL, between Rise and between a UFC event. But you don't hear of it very much in boxing. You don't hear of it at all in amateur wrestling. There is a solution. There is a remedy. The question is just, what should it be? And the 10 or 20% we have failed at. So we know the deterrent needs to be greater than 10 or 20%. Daniel suggests round 1 can't be better than a draw. It seems like a step in the right direction.